Start by grabbing a Firehole 520 continuous bend jig hook in size 10. I'm going to mate this with a 3.5mm matte black tungsten slotted bead. Slide the bead up on the hook and set it in your vise. For my thread today, I'm using Semperfli's classic wax thread in 12/0 black. Start with a simple jam knot to get your thread on the hook. And to add even more weight, I'm going to use 20 thousandths lead-free wire. I like to insert the wire into the back of the bead, lock it down with 3 or 4 turns, and then I'm going to wrap the wire over the thread back towards the middle of the hook. In this case, I like to stop just about where the point of the hook is. And then I'm going to wrap it over the lead-free wire with my thread and then wiggle it as I go, and eventually it'll taper down and lock it in place. Then I'm going to take thread wraps back down the bend of the hook, and I'm going to end about even with the top of the hook eye. For my ribbing material, I'm going to use UTC small wire in green. Lock that in and pull it down to length. And then tie that forward, ending right behind the lead-free wire. And now we're going to tie in some thin skin. I'm using mottled bustard in natural, but pretty much any color, any combination you can use. This is just what I happen to have. To tie in the thin skin, hold it on the back of the hook and then make a wrap around, and that should fold it all the way around the hook. And while I'm wrapping down the hook, I'm pulling on the thin skin to make it tight so it lays nice and flat. For the dubbing, I'm going to use mint green Semperfli ice dub. And this hook is really long, so it's going to take 2 or 3 dubbing noodles to get it all the way up to the bead. I'm going to wrap back down to the very bottom of where the thin skin starts and then wrap back forward, be sure to cover my wraps nice and evenly. This one's going to need 2 dubbing noodles. And since it takes so much dubbing, I like to make my dubbing noodle nice and even. It doesn't have to be super thin, but nice and even so it rolls on nice and smooth, so you don't have a whole lot of bumps. As you can see here, it's nice and even from the tail all the way to the head. In this case, I had a little bit extra, so I had to pull it off and clean up those little bits. Now take your thin skin and wrap it forward. We're going to do 1 loose wrap. Pull it straight down to lock it in place, and then do 1 or 2 more wraps to make sure it doesn't come out. Take your scissors and just nick the edge, and then you can tear it the rest of the way for a nice clean cut. I'm going to add another wrap here just to make sure it's secure, setting the bobbin in the cradle, and now I'm going to take my ribbing wire and use the rotary function to make nice even wraps. Be sure to be careful not to sort of crimp the thin skin. It tends to want to sort of flip up and not lay flat, so that's why I'm taking care to make sure it's all laying flat. And lock in that wire. Twist off the end. Here I am trimming off any last little bits of dubbing. Now I'm going to build a collar out of Troutline's Super Spike dubbing in black. Now I like to get just a thin little bit to stick out of the bag here, and I'll grab it with my material clip before I make a split thread dubbing loop. Just need to grab a little bit, make sure it's nice and even. And now looking down on the bobbin, I'm going to spin it counterclockwise and take my bodkin and just sort of caress it along the thread until it looks like it's laying flat. And once it's flat, I'll lay it against my thumbnail and split the thread. I'll take my material clip, get it centered in there all the way up to the fly, take my finger out, lock it down, and then I'll spin the bobbin clockwise to secure that hair in the thread. Sometimes it takes a few spins to get it to tighten all the way down. Clean out any chunks that didn't get secured, and now we'll stop making wraps. Now we're going to make our wraps, and with each wrap I'm going to stroke the hair fibers back so that they're all going in the same direction. And then I'm going to do a 6-turn whip finish to lock it all down. Trim off my thread. And now this is really bushy, and I like to pluck out any fibers, taking my dubbing brush to comb it all back, get a nice trimmed, neat collar. Guess you could cut it with scissors, but I don't like the ends to be trimmed blunt. I like the look of it being sort of preened back and plucked out. So just kind of spin it around and find all the fibers, get them all nice and even. And once you've got it nice and clean, I'm going to add a small drop of head cement to keep it all in place. And that is the final mint green Dredger Caddis. Spin up a few, go catch a bunch of fish, and you're gonna love it. Alright, it's giveaway time. Let's find out who won those sexy Walt's worms from the last time video. Let's see who it's gonna be.